Hey guys, welcome to a Tower of Babble movies breakdown. We're talking Pacific Rim, some Marvel movies, and a little bit of Man of Steel. So stay tuned. There's nothing left to talk about. Speaking of one-shots, there was news about Haley Atwell has filmed one as a Peggy Carter one-shot. Does that mean is it going to be set in back? Oh, it must be, I guess.
There's a deleted scene in Avengers. I just found this out today. Yeah. Where she's still she's alive at the point. It has her address.
Is she really old though?
It says that she's retired and it has her address. And the Cap looks at the phone and thinks,
which happens in the cartoon and the movie.
Yeah,
the animated movie.
But she's old in the movie. She's old.
What's happening in the scene? He's looking through all the Howling Commandos and they're all this one's deceased, and then Peggy's not deceased and it has her address and he looks at the phone and then he doesn't call her.
So I think that they're saving that kind of stuff for Winter Soldier.
But you'd have to assume that she, or whatever she filmed was World War II era, or in the past.
Yeah, so essentially what they say is...
Or they left that out because they want to bring her back from the past.
Yeah, well, I don't know why. If they're doing a one-shot of it, that must be a reason. It was filmed by Louis D'Esposito, who's the Marvel Studios co-president, and he filmed this... he's filmed one of the other... He filmed the Item 47 or whatever, the one that's in the Avengers Blu-ray. And he said it shows off what she's truly capable of, Peggy Carter.
Just like that one showed off what Coulson was capable of.
Yeah, which is where he's at that convenience store. Station. Yeah. Which is cool, I guess.
It's cool, but how does it tie in? And what does it tie into Cap? Winter Soldier?
For sure it does.
Avengers? Or it doesn't necessarily need to tie in.
It's a one-shot, I guess. It can be tied into...
It's going to tie in somewhat.
It doesn't have to. That's the thing. It just extra bonus.
The Coulson ones did because he was part of getting the Avengers together, and I guess you forgive that, this one, I don't know. Why? What's the point of filming?
Usually it just builds on the universe,
Just makes it feel more lived in.
Also, I guess if she's going to be part of the movies in the future, then is fine.
I don't know if she is. She's not even cast for Avengers.
No, we don't know yet. If she's old, then no.
Then you have someone else do it.
You don't need her for she's not going to be an integral part.
Well, you don't have to do the guy. You don't have to do the Guy Pearce old man from Prometheus, which was stupid. Why didn't they just get an old man to do it? I don't understand. He looks so bad, but whatever. That's another thing altogether.
Still haven't seen Prometheus.
You'd like it a lot, actually.
Probably.
You would love it.
But speaking of spin-offs...
and religion almost, kind of,
to
a certain extent.
But it doesn't really pay off on any of those things.
It doesn't pay off, but it's asked the question.
Yeah, but I mean... Ask the question. That anyone can ask the question, but if you don't have some sort of interesting take on it,
you
that's
have
fine.
a species who's above you though, and who knows more than you. So
we don't give too much away for Dan. But speaking of spin-offs, there was an interview with Empire Magazine, who's, I guess they're out and about these days because there's another Empire Magazine.
We talk about
Empire Magazine. They do movie stuff.
Yeah.
Talk with Don Cheadle, who obviously does War Machine. In the movies.
How I feel about that one.
You don't like Don Cheadle?
No, I like him fine.
Terrence Howard? Whatever, Terrence Howard was the most highly paid actor in Iron Man 1.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Anyway, he talked about the War Machine spin-off and how he'd want it to be done, and said that he wanted, if there was to be a War Machine spin-off, he'd want it to be more visceral and realistic, kind of like how Iron Man 1 was. Saying that he could imagine it as kind of a story where he feels responsible for something and has to get revenge or do something. It's kind of
that's just the actor saying his feelings. Yeah. He's not going to make the decision on that.
And he's also not going to be one.
He's War Machine. It's clearly going to be more action packed and have more explosions.
Yeah. And weapons. Well, he's Iron Patriot in Iron Man 3.
But even then,
I think they just did that because to give a nod to the comics because they can't. Do the Norman Osborn, and it makes sense. Know. And it makes they can't. They can't.
They can't do that. But also, this movie's taking place after Avengers, after everyone's seen Captain America. So this is putting another that same phase on another government agency.
And it makes sense for War Machine to be the Iron Patriot.
Yeah, because it doesn't make sense. You're not gonna have a face of the government called War Machine.
Yeah, and he's just silver. Paint him the flag. Perfect.
Yeah. I don't know about his own spin. He's a good actor. I like Don Cheadle.
Well, more spin-offs, the better, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you need Robert Downey Jr., and he's already done his contract, so you have to hire him on for more. You couldn't do a War Machine spin-off without Iron Man in it, without...
And the thing is, we don't really know too much about that character, his family, or just military background.
We just know that he's friends with Tony.
By the books, military background, friends with Tony.
He's primarily a sidekick, for the most part of what we know, right?
Yeah, and in today's comics, he's a part of the Avengers, so...
Yeah, so...
Well,
I don't know. I just can't see any conflict or whatever.
It's hard to see. Like you'd have to flesh out the characters so much more, and that's what I guess would be.
And
the
it's
whole point.
basically another Iron Man movie, right? Because he's going to save the day using his suit.
Yeah.
So.
Again, the only real difference is that he's a military man, so the military would be coming after him if he was.
Going
renegade.
And now that you have Iron Man 3 with like Extremis, which is the more complicated suit and stuff, what does it matter about?
Yeah, why do you care about this?
Like a step backwards almost.
Yeah, so I don't see that one, at least not right away.
One shot, maybe try a one shot, see what you can do with that.
I don't. The one shots are only like 20 minutes long.
Not even, man.
5 minutes long.
Either way, I love those things because you can just if you have all the movies watching back to back, you toss in the one shots in between the movies. It builds it.
There should really be more of them, I think, and they should be longer.
There's the one where they talk about Hulk, like Agent Coulson talks about Hulk, but they originally wanted what's the villain in Incredible Hulk?
Abomination.
Like they originally wanted him to bring him to the Avengers and stuff.
Yeah, okay.
Like they talked about that.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, and he's too unstable or whatever. Yeah. That makes sense. What else happened in movie news this week? Whedon talks about new Avengers 2 characters. Essentially saying that he's finished his script, it's in rewrites now, and that there's a brother and sister act, quote unquote, that's in the story.
Yeah, that's fine, but I just feel like it's like why would he even say that?
Well, I mean, because he likes to tease things.
He could be lying. It was just amping up the movie. I'm having a really I spent a lot of today trying to figure out who would be the brother sister team other than Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, and I don't know, I'm not really coming up with much.
Yeah, I mean
we only have the cartoon to go off of.
Well, what other girls are in the Avengers? There's Wasp, there's Miss Marvel, but they don't really have that same dynamic, like brother sister dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and so Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch, primarily mutants. But their film rights are co-owned by Marvel because they're also Avengers. So as long as they don't speak about their mutant background or if their dad's Magneto or any of that stuff, they can be in the Avengers.
That's cool. I mean,
it's kind of weird though because that's like main part of who they are is they're the son and daughter of Magneto. Yeah. But I mean,
if only those film companies could just
there was that
just shake hands and make us all happy.
They can't because they'd want 50-50 split or something. So.
It's all about money. But there was talk about this right after Spider-Man came out, Amazing Spider-Man, that they were going to put the Avengers Tower, or it might have been Avengers Tower in Spider-Man or the the Osborn Tower in Avengers.
See, that's the thing. They can do little things like that. Like, why not? Like, hey, we'll give you this much money if we can put this thing in the background.
There's movies that are made that are co-produced by studios. Yeah, I don't understand why you couldn't.
These are all big, but
big help each other out.
Both of them would make money off of it.
Yeah.
That's like.
Oh yeah.
And then if you do an Avengers movie with Spider-Man, then do it 50-50 because Spider-Man is just as big as the Avengers. If not
I don't know if they would do 50-50 but that's the thing. That's probably what it boils down to.
If they had Spider-Man and Avengers together. Then I think it's fair to.
Okay, the question is, would each studio make more money doing that than they do separately?
Yes, because when you join that together, I know a lot of.
I don't know. You join it together.
No, I listen to a lot of videos where people are like, man, where was Spider-Man in Avengers? They're like, where was Spider-Man? Like, they want Spider-Man.
How many people do you think would have gone to see the movie? Like,
well, you never
Avengers
know.
Got good.
You never know, but I definitely think it would help. I think more people would go.
I think Fox.
No, I agree, and I would love to see it. I think as from the company standpoint, they just want to know exactly if they are going to make more money or not, because it might be more worthwhile for them to keep Spider-Man separate. That way, people have to go to them to see Spider-Man.
It's true, and they're never going to get those rights. Let's be honest.
No, because the way the rights work is that you have to make this movie with that character every 2 years or whatever. Spider-Man will always be made. Daredevil, they didn't want to get another shot on because they didn't know how to do it.
By the way, that's
and they sold it too, right? I guess.
No. Just reverts back to Marvel, and that was stated specifically by Feige.
He said he has it back. I know, but it's just weird that they didn't want to give a shot. You know what I mean?
The unfortunate thing about that is Daredevil and Spider-Man have the most in common. They're gonna be Daredevil's not gonna be part of the Avengers.
But it's cool it'll be cool to have
if they make it Daredevil
just expand the world. So you have Avengers. I think we talked about this last week.
We did. It's good for them. It's like, why would they just not make a movie? Like, they could hire Frank Miller if they wanted to.
Probably.
To help out Daredevil. Like, they could hire anyone they want and make a Daredevil movie, and there's like, no. Let's just give it to.
I think they just ran out of time. I think they chose. They're like, we have the resources to do another Fantastic Four or another Daredevil. They chose Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
which is smart because
it's a bigger team.
Yeah, because it's a team movie. Yeah.
Who
else did they have? I guess Fox is. Fox?
Fox has the mutants and has the X-Men.
So they could, if they wanted, put those two together.
I think, if anything, that makes more sense because Fox isn't doing very well as far as
but if Fox they had Daredevil as well, or who?
Fox had Daredevil, yeah.
Yeah.
Fox has
So they had
Daredevil and
X-Men
Fantastic Four. Yeah.
They could clearly just follow the path of Marvel and have those guys come together somehow or intertwine in movies.
I think that one's harder because the mutants, like the X-Men and the Avengers, are so like almost feel so separate, like their own worlds.
They do,
so,
yeah.
To combine those two worlds in a like in that cinematic way would be almost too much.
Do they do in the cartoon? Or?
They're kind of, yeah. Like
they're two team-based things. I don't know, like a threat could come because
like, are you gonna
instead of a Thanos, they could have Galactus or whatever, and the X-Men could be a part of that as well.
Well, you can't do Galactus because Fantastic Four. I guess Fox.
I'm saying for the big villain for them to join up or something.
Man, I don't think they need the Avengers to beat a giant cloud. Okay, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
X-Men is pretty big and it doesn't really need Avengers.
It doesn't need
it. Right?
On its own, it can have all these own side movies, its own thing, and it can exist on its own.
And like even when you read Avengers comics, like there are very few mutants that are like X-Men aren't as much a part of it. They cross over sometimes, but yeah.
Just saying, these companies, when they look at Avengers and what Marvel's been doing, they're going to do that with the properties they have because in comics they diverge and connect. And so why wouldn't they do that? Because it would enrich the world and more people would want to see it that way.
Yeah, and Sony only has Spider-Man, so they can't even do it. They only have which is okay, and it's they've done it before.
He's arguably one of the most popular characters. Probably the most popular of
Marvel.
Yeah. I mean, they made Iron Man popular. He wasn't popular before the movie came out.
Yeah. Spider-Man's definitely probably one of the better known.
Yeah.
Spider-Man, Batman, or Superman.
Have you seen the new suit that they're using for the new one? Looks a lot like the Tobey Maguire one.
It's a lot like Tobey Maguire.
And
a lot.
The last one was ugly, so I'm fine with that.
I thought it was really cool, but like I don't know.
I don't know. I like it.
I still prefer the other three movies.
Two?
2 is probably one of my favorite superhero movies of all time.
Oh, for sure. That's great.
Spider-Man 2 is good, yeah.
And
just even the fights, the CG fights, like with Doc Ock on the train, I think better than any fight in Amazing Spider-Man.
Well, that doesn't help that the lizard looked like not very good.
Yeah, the lizard.
But like that one time when he changed and he had the lab coat on, and he rips it off right away.
Yeah, it's like, oh, come on, leave it on.
He could have left it on. It was like sick.
Yeah, and all the comic people want him to have the lab coat on.
Yeah.
And then just make his face flat. I don't know why you would do that, but whatever.
Yeah, whatever. I didn't really like Amazing Spider-Man.
I thought Amazing Spider-Man was closer to the comics than the others.
I appreciated the Peter Parker stuff.
Yeah. Then Andrew Garfield does a good job of Peter Parker.
Yeah,
he looks the part and he plays the part.
Well, kind of. He's kind of like the... It's like, oh, I'm such a nerd or whatever, but like...
Well, it's the... what do you call it? What's the... ultimate universe of like Marvel.
It is.
It's more the like where he's like really thin and small and nerdy and agile. Whereas we're used to kind of like the he was like
kind
a
30-year-old Spider-Man from the 90s cartoon.
Well, even the cartoon, he looked like he was 30 years old.
Yeah. He was still
but he was in college. He had biceps.
You know what I mean? Yeah. He was in college, I think, in that show.
Yeah.
But still, he looked like a full-grown man. There was one small X-Men Days of Future Past rumor about Michelle Trachtenberg being cast probably as what's her name?
Rachel Summers,
which is obviously the son of
the daughter.
Obviously the daughter
of Scott and Jean.
or as I don't know. They had a couple other ideas, but
and then casting of Bishop and
Warpath.
Yeah.
That's just cool. I mean, this movie's gonna be like chock full of mutants.
Bishop's a big part of Days. That one we knew.
Well, only not in the comics. Only in the show. Only in the show.
Brian Singer loves the show. He watched all of it when he did the X-Men.
This is why this show the movies are a lot like the show.
But like every single character's coming back. I don't like. I feel like these scenes with the future X-Men are like flash forwards of what's happening in the
they're gonna be separate. They're gonna be,
but I think they're still gonna it's be more focused on the past because they got to change something because in the future something's different. They're at war with something else or whatever.
Yeah, it's like
and you can tell it's super future because the costumes that Brian Singer's tweeting, like it's all black but it's got like the silver chrome stuff.
Yeah, well, it's supposed to be like apocalyptic.
No, for sure.
So,
and in the comics, Wolverine plays a huge part too, but they don't know if that's gonna happen.
Well, I mean, he's in the movie, which is all that really matters.
But I'm sure they're going to focus on the younger versions more.
Yeah, I think it's so cool that they got like Patrick Stewart and
that's
David
awesome.
McKellen back.
It's awesome to watch.
And they had he tweeted out a picture of him in like the Ian McKellen in the Magneto helmet and stuff, and it looks. I'm excited. I can't wait for a trailer. It's filming now, obviously, right? So
he's been tweeting pictures of all the sets they're building, like the Cerebro and
the hallway,
the classic hallway.
With the 2 doors and the big round door.
The blue silverish X doors.
So there was one DC film bit of news. Man of Steel Zack Snyder talked about Superman's flight, how it was much more raw and like violent.
Yeah. And even the fighting too, he said he wanted to be more visceral.
So it's more, it feels more real. And like he said, like I kind of want it to be like he always looks like he's going as fast as he can, but then always has that one extra gear to he can go just a little bit faster. Not much, but I think that's Zack Snyder has the right idea. I think he's taking the right approach, at least from what we've seen in the trailers and from what he said.
And then the Warner Brothers even said like they want him for Justice League. He's the first pick right now. They say it depends on how good Superman does.
But I think it'll do well.
It's gonna do well, but he's perfect. He's how many movies he's done in the comic book genre? He did Watchmen.
Yeah.
He knows how to do a teen movie.
Yeah.
And he's awesome at action. It's like.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want anyone else right now, actually.
I mean, what was that other movie he did?
300?
No, not 300.
Oh,
but
Sucker Punch?
Sucker Punch wasn't very good, but...
Yeah, but... I didn't see it. You saw it.
I've seen it.
It was okay. Like,
I just saw like tons of special effects and stuff.
It was he got a little carried away.
Yeah, but that's what we need for a superhero comic book movie.
Yeah, if it's like Sucker Punch, it's not good.
Well, Superman's not gonna be like that.
No, thank God.
But Sucker Punch was all like it was in their head.
They said it was more like a video game. Sucker Punch.
It was because it was like it was like set in. It was like set in.
It was all alternate reality.
There was like bosses or whatever, or something like that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. It was an alternate reality because like in reality they were in this mental hospital, but like this is what she was seeing in her head, or this is what they where they went in their heads when they were doing these things. So obviously it's going to be more fantastic. And
either way, look at his resume: 300, Watchmen.
No, we all know
Man of Steel.
A lot of people didn't like Watchmen. I thought.
I loved that.
It wasn't. It wasn't reviewed well.
Yeah, no,
just because people who don't know.
We talk about this all the time though, but like it was like you're never gonna get a more faithful adaptation than that. Never, it's never gonna happen. That's the most faithful. It's like word for word, page for page almost, and condensed it into the 3 hours he could. Yeah. You even have like a 3.5 hour movie where he put in the like there's a kid who reads a comic book within the comic book.
Yeah,
and that comic book has messages about the full like world
kind of ties together,
and like there's a full director's cut with that in it. Like it's the most faithful adaptation. So I guess it doesn't translate the best when it comes to that. Well, but for me, I didn't care. I loved it.
I loved it. It's hard to. Watchmen's a hard adaptation to do.
I went into Watchmen not having read the book. So when I went in, I was like, well, I was really confused for a lot of the movie.
Yeah, that's true.
And it was very long, and I was like, by the end, I was like, it looked really cool. It was super, super cool. I just didn't know really what happened.
I don't know. Like for me, like maybe it's because I read the book. And
I
watch it regularly. Like I watch it, I'll pick it up and watch it.
Yeah, no, I do the same thing. But it boils down to like a detective story. And then you kind of latch on to Rorschach, and he's trying to figure it out. And you don't know, like Ozymandias or whatever. You kind of in the movie, he's like pretty much evil right off the bat, just based on the.
Well, he kind of
and just his persona, in my opinion.
I don't know. Tell me, Julian, like watching the movie,
right away I didn't know. I didn't know.
And even when there was that assassination attempt and whatever, and
because it fools you, right?
What? See, I don't even remember what you're talking about.
The guy when they tried to kill Ozymandias, and then he's like, open your mouth. He had a suicide pill, whatever, but he put the pill in the guy's mouth, but he pretended like he didn't.
Oh. Because that scene confuses you as to that. Maybe this guy isn't evil.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
But what does he know who Ozymandias is?
Ozymandias, he's like the super smart one, right?
Yeah,
and he has like all the action figures that are like.
So it's cool though because this team who they were a team, the Watchmen, they're disbanded now, and they're being hunted down. And it started off with the comedian. Mm-hmm. I mean, the whole movie you're trying to figure out who did it,
killed him,
and then you're like Ozymandias, he gets this attempt on him. So you're like,
it's gotta throw him off the trail.
Throws everyone off, right? So yeah.
But he's just smart enough and badass enough that he hired a guy to kill him, knowing that he would be fast enough to.
And then his final plan, you come to realize that it's not evil. Like it's evil, it's for the better of mankind or whatever. But it's the whole thing: sacrifice this many for like a way bigger amount. But that's still not right. Yeah. So they wouldn't. But he, in his mind, it is right, and it. Advances civilization.
How can you ever make that decision?
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
So I never said it was a bad movie. I just coming into it as someone who didn't read the book, it's very confusing and hard to follow. So it visually looks great. I mean,
and that's the thing with the comic book. You got one a month, right? So it focused on like kind of like one story every month or whatever for the $10.
Have you guys read any of the Before Watchmen stuff?
No. Which is still going on apparently.
Well, they just finished it. The Comedian was the last one. It was this week. Yeah.
Was it like 6 each or something, or what is it?
I don't know. It's been going. I feel like it was going on forever.
I bought all the number one.
I feel like I was still working at Stereo when Before Watchmen was still going.
I even bought the.
I'd give it a shot, I guess.
And if you don't like the movie, or you don't want to read the book, there's actually a Blu-ray of like an animated like comic book animation,
like a motion comic.
Motion comic. Sorry, with each comic. So you, like everyone's an episode. Thing? Yeah, the whole thing. Each one's an episode. So you at the end of every comic, there's like a cool tagline. Like, what was the first one? Like something like everything. Like everyone's so sad lately, and then like. Owlman's like, well, what do you expect? The comedian's dead. Yeah. And like it zooms out and like you see like the button and the blood.
The comic's awesome.
And then it just ends, right? So then you gotta wait a month to read it. So in the movie, it's just the end of a scene, then you go to the next scene. So it loses that like powerfulness.
Yeah, okay. The other thing when you get a whole week, or a month to think about like. Wow.
Like it just goes like, what do you expect? The comedian's dead.
Yeah, that's great. That's good. I like that. WonderCon footage. WonderCon was a while ago. There was footage from Pacific Rim that was shown. Everyone who saw it really liked it. It's been released online, I think, yesterday or the day before. I watched it.
It looks, the new trailer? Or?
It's not really. It's like a new trailer, but it was the footage that was shown at WonderCon.
One more note too, because Michael Bay's been talking about like how there's all these other movies that are trying to kind of siphon off the
like Transformers thing.
Yeah, like the. Popularity of that.
Yeah.
So he's talking about like what's that robot fighting movie?
Real Steel.
Real Steel. Now he didn't mention this one, but he tried to, and then the director Del Toro or whatever, or Guillermo or whatever his name is, was saying like, no, this is like my personal vision. I wrote this thing. Mm-hmm. I'm doing whatever I want in this story, and so he kind of like just bashed Michael Bay.
Well, I guess kind of Michael Bay's done a lot of adaptations of different people's work,
but he kind of he's always like that though.
Yeah, but whatever. I mean. Guillermo,
you don't have a trademark on large robots.
Michael Bay.
Michael Bay likes to call people out?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of... It's a big personality.
He's got a big ego.
Yeah. He makes a lot of movies with sexy girls in it. And, you know, the world loves him for
it. Pacific Rim was cool. I like Charlie Hunnam a lot because of...
Sons of Anarchy.
So...
Ron Perlman was in it too.
I noticed that in that last trailer.
Yeah, I think there was a...
But they were in Hellboy together, the director and him. Oh. And then he said he needs to make a Hellboy 3.
He owed it to the fans to make a Hellboy 3.
Hellboy's pretty sweet.
There was the one scene at the end where they use like the oil tanker as like a bat, like a giant oil tanker.
Yeah, like a giant boat. Yeah.
Boom! And hit you really get a sense of how big these creatures are in this like latest thing, because you kind of did before when he was like crushing like the Golden Gate Bridge and stuff.
Yeah.
But like they're fucking huge.
Yeah.
And he picks them up.
And then seeing it at IMAX too.
Yeah, that'll be crazy. Like, just visually, I think it's gonna be cool.
Visually, it's amazing. You're right. You know what? I'm gonna go see it. Change my mind, man.
He's probably gonna die in it.
Well, he does. It's like, today we're stopping the apocalypse.
Like that. I don't know if that's the last scene or like the one, like the.
Like right before the end.
He talks about like they tried to fight them or something.
Yeah, and they won, and then they came back again.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think it looks cool. And there's like when they have like the bones on the ship.
I'm sure the movie's not gonna make a lot of sense. But
no, it makes sense. They have giant. Let me explain.
It's post-apocalyptic almost, but with giant creatures
Turns out these giant things were in the Earth.
No. They came through a dimension from underneath
dimension?
They came from a different dimension from underneath our...
So Doom.
Yeah, from Doom. Except that's a portal to hell, not a different dimension.
Well, still, same thing.
Whatever.
Monsters come through.
Anyway, so the same idea. So
and in a Stephen King book, too. It was a movie. The Mist, yeah. That movie was fucked, by the way.
I've never seen it.
I like it.
Isn't it the whole thing that it's all in like one building the whole time?
I guess they kind of set up shop in a convenience store.
The whole time I was working at Rona, I imagined that happening at Rona.
It's such a weird movie, man.
I remember thinking that movie looks cool, like the idea of it, and then someone told me like how it ends. I'm like, I watch that whole movie.
Did I tell you that?
Yeah.
Let's just see how it ends. Like he like everyone dies, whatever, because they have a gun. Like he kills like his kid.
He has one fewer bullet than...
Yeah, then he tries to kill himself, and it doesn't. And he's like, he doesn't have a bullet, and he like starts freaking out.
Goes on to the mist.
Then the mist like disappears, and like an army rolls through, and like it's all fine.
So he killed his family, and
he killed his son, the girl that he liked, Andrea from Walking Dead. Right?
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. And then like some other people that like.
And then he gets saved.
And then turns out if he had waited like 10 more minutes.
That's the thing. Stephen King thought it was so cool writing that. Like, then look what, guess what happens?
That just sounds stupid to me. Like, I don't know.
It's cool. It's cool, but then in the back of me, like, what if he waited 10 minutes? Andy, what would have happened?
Yeah, I guess. And it kind of just deflates like the whole. Like,
but when you watch the movie, you don't feel like that. When you watch the movie, you're like, fuck, like they made this
I actually kind of did. I'm like, what? I was like,
it's kind of like what is it kind of like when?
It could have been cooler. It could have been like a monster like swept like as soon as you're gonna kill himself. Like a monster came up out of nowhere, and then he like had to shoot that monster or something, like just by instinct. And then that monster like, that was the last bullet, so he
Yeah.
used it like just out of instinct, and then like maybe the car like rolled over or something, and then like fell down a cliff. Then he came out, then he saw the army or something.
Well, no, that's the whole point of it is that he's like they're on their last straw, and he's like,
and he made a choice.
We made it this far. I'm gonna be one to kill all these people, and then I'll let the monsters kill me. And then, like, he's thinking he's doing the noble thing by doing this.
Yeah,
and
he made the wrong choice by committing
suicide.
suicide. You're supposed to keep going, do whatever you can.
But at that point, like, the car was... They had been driving for, like, miles and miles. The car was finally out of gas.
And it had, like, just mist everywhere.
Mist everywhere. They can't see anything. They're just in this car.
That's like the... Have you seen The Road?
Yeah.
That's like kind of like that, where
Yeah.
the mom gives up and just commits suicide, I guess, by walking out into the snow.
I've never seen The Road. You
But
just
then-
ruined it for me.
Well, that's not really the end.
That's like such an
You
old
don't know what
movie.
happens to the father and the son.
I heard it's the most
It's
depressing
not
movie
based on
of
a
anyone
book.
ever
It is
read.
a very
McCarthy was the
depressing movie.
craziest author of all
I
time.
want to read the book. That doesn't really ruin much of the movie for you.
No,
you
that's
should watch
totally
it.
fine.
But
Okay,
it is a depressing movie.
Okay, then I guess we're talking about Michael Bay, so we should probably touch on Pain and Gain, which...
Yeah, you guys both saw it.
Well, before we'll go, just one quick note on Michael Bay was that the Ninja Turtle movie he's making, they're going to be mutants again.
I thought we talked about that already.
We didn't talk about that. That was before the podcast. It's okay. They're going to be mutants again, not aliens, whatever. I mean, we don't have to talk about this, but
Obviously, everybody's happy about this. We were all like...
because
Nobody could understand why.
Never made
He
sense.
he said he like didn't have the time to come out to me and say that, so he's saying it now.
Yeah, well, which is whatever.
Or he could just be lying, like, oh, there's so much backlash. Okay, fine, it came from the ooze. He even mentions the ooze in there.
Yeah, exactly. He says the ooze, which is like
it's the ooze, man.
I wrote a review of the last animated series episode. You can find that on Tower of Babble Podcast.com.
You got it right that time.
Yeah, a little practice. But we'll skip on. We'll keep talking about Michael Bay and Pain and Gain. I've seen it. Jeremy's seen it. Dan hasn't seen it.
I haven't seen it, but you guys can feel free to talk about it. I'm
I
either
don't know. I wasn't like adamant about seeing it like day one, or whatever. But then I saw another, trailer on TV, whatever. I was like, man, this movie. I don't know. I thought
it looked funny
like a
to me.
fun
Like
time.
looked like lots of like bright colors.
And then when
like,
you
this
hear
funny stuff.
when you hear Michael Bay, it's like, man, this is kind of a different approach. It's not like a big action movie with guns or whatever.
Exactly.
Right? So then
there was guns different.
Well, there was guns, yeah, but it's not like
at one point.
That's not. Yeah, it's not the focus, and it's not about.
It's not Transformers. It's more like Bad Boys kind of thing.
Well, at one point, apparently everyone carries guns in Miami because like there's people just get shot at. Like but like they'll just start shooting. Like a guy gets robbed and like it's instantly just starts. He goes into like a restaurant with a shotgun and just starts blowing. Like it's like that's probably not accurate or whatever, and it's a little over the top. But it was still entertaining, so I didn't really care.
When people keep asking me how'd you like it or whatever, and I'm like, man, the first half is like the best movie.
Oh, it's so good,
so much fun, and then in the second half they have to deal with all the repercussions that they do. Everyone they fucked over, everyone they lied to, all the secrets, they all come out and they have to deal with it. So it's like you're watching, it's like, man, how are they gonna do this? So if you're like a person who's really invested into a movie, you'll be like on the edge of your seat, like how I can't believe they gotta deal with this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of intense. The very last.
The first half, great. I agree with you.
Great movie, yeah.
The second half, not as good, but
it's not as good because but the thing is, you see it coming. This whatever they're doing can't last forever.
Because you kind of wonder like when is the movie going to end? At one point you're like, well, I think they did the robbery and they could have just ended.
And then
with
you know that the investigation whatever starts and
exactly.
it's like something's going to happen.
The other thing, from what I understand, is based on true stories. These things actually happen.
He actually does a lot of shots like that British director.
He did Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels.
Guy Ritchie, yeah. He does like those little freeze frames where they're in like a moment and they say something, whatever. Sweet. And like they even like halfway through the movie they even say, "This is still a true story" when something crazy's happening. Because it reminds you like So when I remember actually thinking like something's happening, I won't say what it is. And then like man, this no way this is a true story. And then freeze frame, this is a true story. So he actually had to do that then. So
it's so crazy that you don't believe it's a true story that
I'm sure it's
the fact that it actually happened
to a certain extent. Yeah, like they're not like I think it was definitely more simpler than
for sure it wasn't quite like how it was.
Definitely over the top though.
The Rock, so good.
Yeah, and really funny.
I've never seen him like that role before. Like he's always like in like. I guess he finished his Disney contract, and then first movie he did was Fast 5, and he's just like a badass. He wore Under Armour the whole movie.
He did Drive too.
Oh yeah, that's right. But no one ever watched that movie.
I was. That's pretty good.
And
Tooth Fairy.
That was another Disney one that he did.
Oh, yeah.
Then he went back to wrestling.
Yeah. He's still in there. Yeah.
G.I. Joe, which filmed like I guess 2 years ago or something. Just came out now.
And then just came because it was supposed to come out last summer, and then they delayed it because they wanted to do 3D.
Yeah.
And now it came out.
But
I haven't seen it yet. I would like to see it.
Yeah. And then he's gonna be in all Fast and Furious movies now, and might even get a spin-off. But actually, it's his role is a little bit similar to Southland, I guess. Yeah, Southland. You remember Southland?
No.
The guy who did Donnie Darko.
What?
So you don't know Southland Tales? Sorry.
Is it a movie or a show?
Southland Tales is a movie.
I haven't seen it, man.
The director, we went to their house a long time ago. Either way, it's the same type of character. Like he's kind of like just a big brute guy, but he deals with like I guess this one's religious, but this one he's kind of like a schizo or whatever.
Oh, okay.
So he doesn't know what to do in certain situations.
It's The Rock, hilarious. Like there's never one moment in that movie where.
And then Anthony Mackie, I've always liked him since that football movie.
Any given Sunday. No.
Where that football team died and they had to like get.
I don't remember what it's called, but I know what you're talking about. Where it's like set in a small town. It's like all they care about is football.
Either way, I've always liked Anthony Mackie, and like you don't even know he's in this movie if you don't watch or like because most of the posters are just The Rock and Wahlberg. But even Wahlberg, I thought did a great job. In this movie.
I usually don't like Mike Wahlberg, but
You don't like Mark Wahlberg.
That's what I said.
No, he did a good job. He's the main character, so you see him a lot.
Yeah,
in this movie. He talks a lot.
Yep,
and he's funny.
Yeah, he's still got the accent, which is fine.
But he's really funny.
He's funny,
movie, I think.
yeah.
And another thing, the music in the movie, like the original score by whatever his name is really good.
I didn't stand out to me.
I listened for the music and like it was very emotional. Like some of the songs.
Some of them, yeah. I actually remember one.
Like the ending when he's running away is like that musical, like the instrumental or whatever. Yeah.
They did a lot of like super slow mo shots right at the beginning. Yeah. It's like his face is it's like really funny. Yeah. Because it's like
it's a dark comedy to its core.
Yeah, like, it's a lot like if you like Fargo, you'll like this one.
Well, I don't know what that.
Well, Fargo is like again, it's
that one's not really a dark comedy.
It's absolutely dark.
I would say it's just dark.
That's it. It's a dark comedy.
This one's a dark comedy.
Both of them are definitely dark comedies.
Which one's a comedy?
Both of them. They're both dark comedies. The Coen brothers did Fargo. That's a dark comedy.
It doesn't mean it was funny.
There was very funny moments in that movie. Funny. Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen it.
I think Fargo's a way darker movie than...
Oh, for sure. No, it's much darker, but it's also really funny. If you like that kind of stuff. Have you ever seen Fargo?
When I was a kid.
I disagree with that, but whatever.
That depends what you think is funny, I guess. There's a lot of... I don't know. There's a lot of people who talk in the Minnesota accent in that film, and I just think it's hilarious. Yeah, so I don't 100% agree with your police work there. But yeah, people get chopped up in wood chippers in that film, so that's...
It happens.
Yeah. So are you going to go see it based off of our testimony? Are you going to watch it?
Yeah, I'll make time.
You should. Okay, well, we'll take a break then. We'll come back and we'll talk about some game news, a little bit of comic stuff, and then... if we have time, we'll do a topic of the week. If you want to hear that comics news and that topic of the week, where we break down the summer movies, you got to listen to the whole Tower of Babble podcast. You can find the whole show on iTunes, Stitcher, and on our website, towerofbabblepodcast.com. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, @TowerBabblecast, and like us on Facebook.